So some of the causes of back pain for runners, and we talked about how if it is sciatic, if it is your hip, or if it is truly your back, a lot of the causes are very similar. What we see is if it's either irritation or if it is something hip or sciatic nerve related, is that we're losing stability and we're losing stiffness in that spine-pelvis junction. And what we mean by that is that when you're running, you should be able to keep your spine and your pelvis rigid. That should not be moving. I should be able to run through flexion to extension and not have this move at all. That's how we know we're properly getting true hip extension, which is going to get all that right musculature working, particularly your glutes, your hamstrings, that whole posterior chain. Everything you need to propel yourself forward has to come from there. What we see commonly when we do have some type of back symptom or diagnosis is that that junction is not rigid, it's mobile. And what that happens is that we see this arching effect. As someone goes from flexion to extensions, they stop right about neutral and they have to arch their back to get themselves to propel forward. And a lot of that has to come from strength deficits. If someone's very quad dominant, if they're not doing strength training and all they're doing is running, or if they are having a desk job and they're not spending the time getting through some of that mobility work to actually get through true hip extension, some of those causes will create that irritation at that spine level that can create that local irritation to the muscles or can actually affect the spine, the vertebrae, and even the disc. So the biggest thing when it comes to the significant causes of back pain for runners is making sure you're staying rigid with your spine and your pelvis and you're actually letting the hip do what the hip needs to do with your running. And that a lot of times comes from self-filming your run, going and getting a run analysis, or just having, even if you're doing some strength drills, see can you stay rigid or do you always feel like you have to arch your back to help you get through squats or lunges or step ups or some of those type of movements. So that's a good indicator of one of the bigger causes of why runners have back pain. So make sure you check that, as well as make sure you know if you're having back symptoms, if it's actually coming from your back or your hip. So make sure to check that video too.